Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Australian report for the 28th of January. Starting on the ASX for the weekly chart here, we've had a bit of a turn down in the US markets and a possible top in the Nasdaq, so we need to relate that back into our market here as well. So it's possible now that we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and wave 5 here as completed. It does appear that we've got an impulse wave to the upside based on really the resources rather than the finance sector. But either way, we need to be mindful. If we do have a wave 5 top in here, then we could pull all the way down to the 550, looks like roughly the 61.8%. So we just need to keep a bit of an eye on that. This will be sort of confirmed more once the 6,500 becomes the retested resistance. So seeing a move, sort of coming down here and making that the resistance here, then we know that would be coming down further from that point there, because that would finish that off. This hasn't been a very nice move to the upside here, but on the resource side of things, looking at BHP, for example, this is BHP in the US, but it's the same here as well, same sort of thing. So we've been looking at it in a couple of different ways. So wave 3 here with wave 4 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here in this top. We call this top in here as wave 5, and that could be the top. So that could be the top of wave 1 and coming back for wave 2 here, or it could be a deeper, that would be the deep move, or we could look at it coming back, 61.8% of this move here at minimum. So coming back into this space for that. Because if this was wave 1 here and wave 2 here, then this move up here would be wave 1, which I'll just perhaps borrow this for a moment and borrow this one. Just lift them up a degree. But it's just something that we have to work through. But the takeaway today is that this top that we've been talking about here is being confirmed now. With this move down overnight here, that really helps that, and that would also be part of the ASX 200 as well being completed at this point. So we don't need these here anymore. So we'll see. I would call the top in here for B, and this is the same for the Australian BHP as well. And now we've got to kind of figure out, are we going to be coming down here? Down for this wave 2 or this wave 2. This wave 2 would be lower, of course. So it does bring up the idea that we can look to short now through here, and that would be the same with, we have a look at BHP, local BHP here as well. So that means that we can now look to short this here. And that means we can use this red one here to keep the stop. We'll just keep it out of the way here for the moment. And yeah, so I think that's it. Unless, the thing that bothered me about this was just that little jump up there, with one bar calling that high in. And so it still could be an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here. But no, this is going to be coming down today. This will be... This market will, it'll just gap down. Sorry about that, it won't do that. It'll just get these things working. So that will just gap down here, unfortunately. So that will end up down here somewhere, I'd imagine. So that would really place that, much deeper. So we can call that in now. That would make common sense for that. We can move that in here. So, look, there we go in a nutshell. And look, the banks won't be far behind it either. So let's just go back to our Australian market and check in on this. So yeah, look, there we go. Let's just move in here now. Now, it hasn't been an easy count up here for this in terms of counting 5 waves from this low here. There's parts of the trend that I've understood quite well and other parts that I haven't. And it's possible that, I don't think it's the case based on, if I base it all on the BHP thing, then we've got a top in place, okay? And I think that's the way that we could go. You know, have I got this count here wrong and the banks can still push up and I've got this wrong somewhere? Yeah, sure. I mean, we could look at this as wave 1 and 2 here, then wave 1 and 2 here. So that's possible. So that would bring that down to, I'm just shooting the breeze here. So if I took this here, then that would be the 38.2% retracement level here. So that brings us in roughly to the 6,500. So we could say that until the 6,500 becomes the retested resistance, then it's possible that the market can still move up at that point. But once we've got the first low in play here, it's like the arrival, the reaction, the first low below the level and back up here testing. Now that could test higher back up here in an ABC. It could do a couple of things here. It could do something like that depending on the structure at the time. But shorting it here and shorting it here, that would bring us down into the deeper picture. I'd say 5.5 would be, yeah, I'd say that would be about right. That would be, I better check, sorry. Yeah, that's about right. So, so it can pull down here. So it's quite a big issue, you know. So what we could say is that we'll talk about this, but it's not really valid until the 6.5 becomes the retested resistance, okay? That's the best way to look at that, so we don't get lost in some pipe dreams, so to speak. But in the meantime, we need to focus in on this here. Now, this is all a bit messy here, but one of the things I wanted to go over is I had wave 4 sitting on the low here, but that wasn't the low on the cash market. The low on the cash market was this one here. So I'm thinking that, well, how do I get 5 waves out of this? Well, it'll have to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. The other way to do it would be looking at all of this in here as wave 4 correction from here and in here, and putting wave 4 up into this space here for that, and then just counting those 5 waves there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think this is the best bet here for this, so we can go in and talk about it. Let's just drill in. I don't think that's going to help us. Yeah, so this was one way of looking at it. Because this on the cash market, this was wave 1 and ABC for wave 2 didn't make that low here, and then 3 here. But wave 4 here really overlaps wave 1, so I'm not sure what to do about that. And then we've got this move here, but then this comes down so strongly here, which is already past the 61.8% from, you know, from these lows here. So there's a bit of a problem. There's a problem with all of this here. So what does one do at the end of the day? I know that this is pulled between the, this is not an easy index to use because it just doesn't have enough variety in it. It just has the resources and finance, and most of the time those guys are going in opposite directions. So you know, it just doesn't make it easy using Elliott on this market. So looking at BHP, which has really been the driver for this whole trend from the March lows, would be the right thing to do, I feel, but I'm open for ideas. So the point being here is that with the US markets, it appears that we've got 5 waves coming down from the top here. So I need to look at that being 5 waves here. So we need to count 5 waves down here, and then we'll have an ABC pattern back up, and then we'll have another 5 down. So like I mentioned, and we'll get a bounce off here. So it'll be a while before we can work out that this is a resistance here. And we may just get an ABC pattern here. I mean, yeah, I'm just going into the guessing game with all of this. So I'm just going to cut through to the hourly chart here. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking wave 1 here and 2 here, and then all of this, the third wave down here is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. Third wave, fourth wave, and fifth wave. Now that would line up with the US markets. And yes, it's possible to have another low down into here for this, but it doesn't really matter. We don't particularly need to chase that down because we're going to get some sort of bounce here, some sort of coming back up to supply levels here. We can look for the 50-60% retracement level here once it comes in. I'll just put it on the current low, but you'll need to adjust that in your own way. But that brings us into that sort of supply level here, and also the 6750 area here for that. So that's that and that. I don't know if it's wave 2 here or wave B here for this. I'm going to put wave 2 first here. We'll see. Not that it matters in a deal at this stage, because we just need to gather the evidence. But the thing we can do is, once that's in play there, then you can look to short that. You can short it from the box because we have that 5 waves down, and it's very clear on the Nasdaq this is the case, by the way, as well. So you can short in this space here as well. So we need this to finish, and this might extend down a bit further because of the stocks opening and so on, and then we'll need to track that back up here in its own way. If it's a wave 2, this rally should be quite simple and swift. You know, we'll get this. The wave A needs to be 5 waves, and then the wave B needs to be 3 waves, and then we get 5 waves in the last move here, and it should be like it should be quite quick and swift if it's a wave 2. If this becomes really big, well, then it's likely to be a wave B, and that would put us into, you know, we only want, as a wave 2, would only want this to be 30-40% of the time it took to do this, and how many bars. So 30-40% of the bars that it took to do this whole leg here, that's what we want to see for wave 2. If this wave 2 has got more bars and it's taken longer than this move down here, well, then it's likely wave B, and then we've got we know that we're in a correction at that point. And if it's going to be a wave 3 here, well, then we want to see it come down quite swiftly here. If it's a wave C coming down here, it's going to be on more of an angle than the wave A here, because wave A is normally the sharp one and wave C is the lazy guy. So we can use those personalities to get some sort of idea of what we're actually looking at here. But yeah, just be careful about going short here, because it'll be a bit of a trap. You can, but just keep the position really small so you can, you know, carry that heat on there. So I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, but looking for short trades in the resources and also the banks would be the right thing to do today. But make them really small positions, and you can look to build in on them. Make them small positions with wide stops, and then you can look to adjust and build on them. Alrighty, cheers.